So, motion on consent items.
So moved.
Mr. Bundy, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Schultz. Further questions, discussion, or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor of approval of the minutes signify by saying, or not the minutes, the consent agenda items, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Declare that's passed. We have no one here for a hearing, so I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, Mrs. Kappeman, is there a second?
I'll second.
By Mr. Hanemichael. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Well, have a nice week. See you next month. Want the gavel?
I'll just tap.
All right.
So we'll call the annual meeting, July 12th, 2021, board to order. We have our quorum. We'll do the oath of office for our re-elected board members.
How convenient, they're sitting by each other.
Stand, raise your right hand, read the oath. If you agree, answer I will. I'll have you sign your oath. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of South Dakota, and that you will faithfully and impartially perform your duties as a member of the school board of the Madison Central School District, Lake County, South Dakota, to the best of your ability and in accordance with the laws now in effect and hereafter be enacted during your continuance in said office until your successor is elected and qualified?
I will.
And if you sign, there's your orders. There's your, I used the previous oath.
There you go, sir.
Now it's gonna be on file. Our file goes back to 1976.
Wow.
Kind of fun.
That is fun.
Yeah, here it is.
Got it right here.
Yes. I can prove it.
Yes. I'd like to see that picture.
Okay, I'll bring it in.
Then at this time, we'll take nominations for board president.
Nominate Tom Farrell.
Nominate Tom Farrell.
I'll second that nomination.
Actually, we just need a nomination for now.
Oh, sorry.
Anyone else have a nomination? With no other nominations, we'd ask that nominations cease and the unanimous ballot be cast. Is there a motion to that order?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Remembering this for committee assignments.
Yeah. All in
Are we
favor?
supposed to be quiet or are we supposed to talk about?
Which one is
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
All right.
Then all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Then I guess I
President Farrell?
get to take over. All right, I will call for nominations and election for a vice president.
I nominate Mrs. Schultz.
Okay, there has been a nomination by Mr. Nelson of Mrs. Schultz. Would there be a motion and a second to cease nominations and cast, other nominations first, excuse me. All right, would there be a motion and a second to cast unanimous ballot for Mrs. Schultz?
So moved.
Mr. Bundy, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Hanemichael. Hearing none, all in favor of Mrs. Schultz for vice president, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Declare Mrs. Schultz. Thank you.
If you agree.
All right, on to item number 6
So
then,
stressful.
which is approval of the agenda, and we have 2 additional folks for the personnel actions that Mr. Jorgensen will update us on when we get to that point. So item 6, I'd take a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Mrs. Kappeman, is there a second?
Second.
By Mrs. Schultz. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor of approve the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, declare that the agenda is approved. On to item number 7 then, which is personnel. We'll turn that over to Mr. Jorgensen.
Excuse me, number 7, some requests to hires. Diane Freeze as middle school paraprofessional, to replace Nicole Johnson at $14.26 per hour. Nicole Frank as middle school paraprofessional to replace Melissa Blessington. And Kendra Paulson as the elementary paraprofessional to replace Ashley Bolt. And also Tara Grayson as a high school para to replace Melody Gross. Those will all be at $12.65 an hour. And then Noah Salmon, elementary integrationist for first semester at $22,000. That'd be a certified position.
Okay, so we have those recommendations from the administration on personnel. I'd entertain a motion in a second. We can have discussion.
So moved.
Okay, Mr. Bundy, motion, Mrs. Kaplan, second.
Lori.
There's Lori, okay. Further questions or discussion? So we have what remaining then open, Mr. Jordan?
We still have a paraprofessional position open. I believe sped bus driver open,
Okay,
and as many other bus drivers is available.
all right.
What about the integrationalist? You said that was for a semester?
It's first semester right now, has to do with, the intent will be for 2 semesters. It'll be Mr. Solomon for the first semester. He couldn't commit to a second semester yet. Potentially, we would know that by December. If we can commit to a second semester. If not, we'll look to fill another person. Yeah.
Further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approval of the personnel action signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Declare that the personnel actions have been approved. Again, we'll go over item number 8 on to item number 9, administrator report.
Just a few items. Back to school plan, a new requirement for the ESSER $3. We will be having a committee meeting this week, actually meeting tomorrow, to start going through that, reviewing what our plan was last year, making all the updates, and bringing that forward to the board in August. To make sure that we meet all the requirements for the new plan. And also a lot of things have changed since a year ago to now. We know a little bit more. We've got some more information from the CDC, we got more information from the Department of Health, so I anticipate that we will have a number of changes that we will look at as we start reviewing that plan. Weekly Zoom meetings, excuse me, continue to go on. Every week it seems like there's something that may change or a little different, but we're still waiting on a lot of information, and hopefully late July, early August, we've got some information coming on the medical marijuana and where that's at as far as school policies. That's in the end of July. The DOE and DOH is going to be giving information on that. We've got, we're waiting on homeschool participation clarification on a number of different items on what the new law means and the ins and outs to make sure that we have it in place. And I know that the ASBSD and SASD and whom we missing, SDHSAA are all going to be putting something together. I want to say it was like early August, and we're supposed to get that information. So again, we'll be bringing something forward to the August meeting in regards to that as well. It's sort of hard to bring forward good policies when we don't have the answers yet from the DOE and DOH on some of these things. We'll have a runoff election. We'll talk about that a little bit later. They had a unique situation where one of the people that was on there retired. So it sort of threw everything out of whack on who got what votes, and there wasn't good enough, so they just started redoing the one, and the other one is a true runoff. And then talking with Mr. Eichmann, cleaning buildings right now, everything's on schedule and is looking good. So again, August, we may have a lot of things that will be coming to the August meeting, so be prepared, I guess.
Mr. Brooks, do you have anything? How are summer feedings going?
Going well. We just got our June numbers. I haven't compiled them, but we'll get those in for reimbursement.
Okay.
Kind of see, it looks like we're averaging above what we did 2 years ago when we ran a similar program.
Good. Guess the only thing I have is you've gotten quite a bit of information on convention, August 5 and 6 in Sioux Falls. Friday is the deadline for early registration reduction. We get 3 board members, we get a free administrator for the district. So if you're able or interested in attending, plan to do that. All right, anything else anybody have to report?
I just have one question. Has there been anything done to sort of provide some help for the administration, just in case there are some COVID issues like last fall? I mean, do you have an assistant or someone that's trained that can come in here instead of the superintendent coming in every weekend when there's a positive case?
Well, I'm hoping for a lot less positive cases, but that's something we'll have to look at on how we can cover some of that. And I think if we approach it as a team, hopefully we can maybe assign different weekends. The hard part with some of that is we can assign it, for example, to a principal, but if it's not in their area, they're still gonna have to involve another principal. But as far as actually filling out some of the forms, we'll see what changes from DOH. Some of that may look different. I don't know if it will or not. I guess we don't have that information, but I think those are all things that we'll probably try to plan ahead for a little bit this year. I'm all in favor of it.
All right. Other questions? Then we move on to a series of consent items, and we lump these together, but if anyone would like to pull any one item out, we certainly can. Our first action item would be to take a look at our normal consent items, and item number 10 through 15. Item number 10 is designating the Madison Daily Leader as our official newspaper. 11 designates our depositories, Bank Depositories, Bank West, Dakota Federal Credit Union, East River Federal Credit Union, First Bank and Trust, First Premier Bank, Great Western Bank, and Wells Fargo. And then number 12 is to appoint Mr. Brooks, business manager, as treasurer of our local funds, and authorize him to sign all the checks approved by the board, including the trust and custodial and impressed checks. Appoint the board president as co-signer of all checks approved by the board. Authorize Joel Jorgensen, superintendent, or another board member in the absence of business manager or board president. And historically, we've used Mrs. Schultz in that, and we shouldn't probably even have to re-sign anything, or will we?
We should, yeah.
Okay. Designate bonded employees, business manager and bookkeeper, 100,000, and the activities director, 15,000. Item number 14 is designate legal counsel as being Lammers Clybecker LLP.
And with that, I found out today it's also N. Dawson.
And Dawson, okay. Lammers Clybecker and Dawson as our LLP, as our legal counsel. And then item number 15 is appoint the business manager as the authorized representative for the food service program, the title and IDE federal funding applications, and superintendent as the authorized representative for all other federal and state programs. These are things that we have to do required by codified law each July as we start a new year. So, is there any of those that anyone would like to pull out? Hearing none, then I would entertain a motion at this point in time to approve items 10 through 15.
So,
Okay,
I'll second.
okay, Mrs. Kappelman and Mr. Hanamichael. Further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approval of those items 10 through 15, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay, and we're done with that. Then we'll go on with the next 5, 16 through 21. Joining the ASBSD sponsored emergency school bus assistant pack. What that means is if we have a bus that fails or someone has a bus that fails, we can borrow buses from each of the people that are as a part of the pack. So if we're out in an area somewhere and need a bus, it's a nice feature, and it's voluntary for everyone, but pretty much I think there's a very high percentage that participate.
I think those that don't participate are simply the ones that forget to approve it.
Next one is we have to annually approve and publish our staff salaries, and those were the link that was there. Item number 18 is standing committees. I think we pretty much kept everything the way that it looked Based on the nominations, I don't think I'll change anything, but,
I'm on the foundation.
you're on foundation instead of Rob.
Yep.
Yeah, they switched, they said my time was up.
Okay.
You never told me who took over, so I'm just like, we like to switch it up a little bit more.
All right.
So-
Thank you, Angie, for doing that. All right, so we'll make that amendment to that. Anything else on the committees? Okay, then the next thing is to do our appraisers, which we have to set, and that will be Mr. Eichmann, Mr. Fobbs, and Mr. Hall. And then designate our monthly meetings. We still want to stay at 5:30s?
Yeah.
Okay, 5:30, and we'll go second Mondays. And then item number 21 is where we need to basically accept the policies that we have in place. It doesn't mean that they won't be modified, but we have to have a motion to set in place that those will be the policies as we start the year that we will be following until policies and things get modified, which sounds like will be maybe in the process as early as next month. So that takes care of those items in there, 16 through 21. Anything want to be withdrawn from there? We have the one change in the committee assignment, so I entertain a motion then to approve that.
So moved.
Mrs. Schultz, is there a second?
Second.
By Mr. Avery. Further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approval of the consent items 16 through 21, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Declare that's passed. Item number 22, DSU Facilities Usage Agreement. Mr. Brooks, is that one you?
Yeah, so the facilities use agreement kind of expired during the COVID session, so this agreement actually covers last year, this year, and then the next year. It's very similar to what we had in place prior. We kind of shrunk it down to 2 pages and kept it to the basics on it, but it just has our annual amount last year for $55,000, this year for
$5,500.
$5,500. This year $6,500, next year $7,500.
Nice catch, Mr. Jorgensen.
That's what I need you smiling.
And what we base that amount on is what it costs to maintain the facility, and we split in half for the year. If there's any questions on that, what we recommend to approve.
Okay, so we have a recommendation from the administration to approve that. We can have a motion in a second, and we can have further discussion if we need to. So I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Mrs. Schultz, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Bundy. Further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Do I need to remove
You
myself?
could, you could abstain if you'd like.
I'll abstain from that.
Mrs. Kappelman noted as an abstention. Declare motion is passed, 6-0 with 1 abstention. All right. On to number 23, consider annual approval of busing proposals from Oldham, Ramona, Chester, and the Rutland School District. This is something that by state statute we have to do when districts come in. Everything, I believe, is the same, correct, Mr. Jorgensen, as it's
Yep.
been for the last?
I've only been here 5 years, starting my 6th, but it's been the same ever since I've been here, so no changes at all.
So they obviously have approved the locations, or will be approving the locations, and we need to accept those, so I'll entertain a motion and a second.
So moved.
Mrs. Kappelman, is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Hanamichael. Further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approval of the busing proposals signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Declare we have passed. Item number 24, our runoff election.
So there are 2 different positions. One is the West River at large, and then the other one is the Division 4 representative. And I would recommend we vote for the same two individuals we voted for last time, for the West River at Large, Todd Palmer, AD at Sturgis Brown. And for the representative, from Division 4, Eric Denning, Mount Vernon, I would recommend we cast those same ballots in the runoff election.
So recommendation would be that we go with Mr. Palmer, and that we also then would go with Mr. Denning. Is there a motion and second to that effect?
So moved.
Mr. Hunmichael, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Avery. Much easier without masks. Further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approval of the two candidates for the runoff election, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Declare that we have cast our ballot. Next, we go into an executive session. Chuck, do you have any other questions for us?
Yeah, just take a minute.
Okay.
So is this your third term or?
You're asking the wrong guy.
Just keep blending together.
It would have been, my oldest, I can figure it out if you want me to, otherwise.